Hello and welcome to Dance For's A Conversation Place. I'm here to introduce a conversation between Vayu Naidu and Nilima Devi, and that's going to be centered around Nilima's practice within Indian classical dance. And they'll be talking about how that connects with storytelling.
you know. So are you?
Hello,
Good, good.
Nilima. Nice to see you.
Yeah, me too, after a long time.
And this is from Leicester to London and London to Leicester.
Yes, yes. But you don't come anymore to Leicester, no, do you? No.
I'd love to. I want to. I love
Ah.
Leicester's I used to love working there. Really.
Oh, good. Now we have got Cow Theatre, no? Then no more Haymarket Theatre.
I know, that's true. You've got Curve. That was
Cow.
part
Yeah.
of the plans, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now I have to look into this because I think let's start our conversation because I send you some questions. What do you think about those? Are they okay?
They're great. Yeah. I was wondering, since we're talking at it from an Abhinaya perspective, why don't you, because we're having a conversation, if you say from your dance perspective what is Abhinaya, and then I can tell you what in storytelling as performance tradition, how we work that expression out.
Yeah. In Kathak style, we have storytelling through mime.
Yeah.
So we do Gatha Bhav, and where there is a plain mime and only the music is going on in the background, means a tabla player plays the improvisation and we have got lera player. So that is one aspect which is very abstract form of expressing. It's a very mime related, so if it's story of Ramayana, if we take Sita in a forest and going behind the deer, so you do that everything through mime. And if there is a sitar player, that sitar player can give those emotions, where and the tabla player will play that sort of movement improvisation on his tabla. So it becomes very, very people can see what is going on. Like if you're jumping like a deer, so that sound can be produced through tabla, and if you are running behind the deer, that sort of improvisation is played. So the whole body is used in telling a story there in Gadbha form. But then when you are dancing to a poetry, it's sort of you are expressing through a poem. You are sort of expressing those feelings behind the poem. You're trying to portray that Naika or Nayak in through Thumri or through Ghazal or through Ashtapadi. We've got also so many varieties of expressions. Now, my co-dancer is Anusha Subramaniam. She's in Bharatanatyam style because I thought it would be interesting for people to see two different classical style, if we take it. And if we can, and we are looking at Ashtanaika. So we are looking on the Naika, our focus on Naika, but taking one aspect of Naika, that is love in union and love in separation. Can you see? And sort of take one of the poetry from 16th century, 16th, 17th century poetry, means maybe when the dance went to the Mughal court, something like that. And then one we are looking at 21st century poetry from here, from UK. And then express it in a contemporary context and look at it so people can see both style, the traditional and the contemporary. So it's just R&D and how much we both can do as a dancer, whether through the R&D process. And maybe we'll have to see, maybe if we want to move ahead for the production, so we may have to involve some contemporary dancers.
That's right.
Yeah, because our body cannot now move like a contemporary dancer, sitting down and getting up and jumping and all.
No, but it's a very interesting concept. Just relating it to storytelling and foundations. So what I've tried to create a method is obviously I came from a literature background. Okay.
Wow.
Theatre and words. Even though I'm not trained in Kathak or Bharatanatyam, there is a common body of emotions. So what I did was take the ras from the emotions, the juice of the emotion, and the abhinaya was used as a way of, because with the storytelling, it's the language that we have to make sure conveys those very deep emotions. Now, you have two ways. You could say, yes, emotions are universal, which they are. But then there are certain cultural ways also of feeling certain things. I mean, generalize in terms of the art particularly, the Indian way of expressing ourselves is quite symbolic, because we have these mythological expressions from the epics, and so we take some nuances from those emotions. So with the storytelling, what I used to do was, now I don't know what it is like to be a king, okay, and I will never know that. But how am I expressing in the story? I can just say, oh, Nilima, that was a king who lost his kingdom. And you will just take that as a fact. It hasn't touched you. My big thing in storytelling was that people have to be moved by the experience of language. And that's where the abhinaya and the rasa comes in terms of my method, which is that the words you select to draw direction to what has been experienced in that emotion is very important. So just to give an example, if a king has lost his kingdom, I will never know what that can feel like. But if I have to get my audience to have empathy for what this person has lost, then I have to go through a process of, oh, I lost my phone. Now, in the contemporary world, if we lose our mobile phone, you know how terrifying that is, because it's got our list of addresses, it's got the emails, it's got very private photographs, it's everything. For me, this is my kingdom. So while I'm expressing this thing about a king losing his kingdom, my inner abhinaya is, what happened that day when I lost my phone and I could not get in touch with the world? That becomes like a mirror and gets reflected in the words I say. So the breathing, the use of the language, the pause, the tone, silence before two other sentences begin will express that. That's the way, as a storyteller, I developed using abhinaya. And of course, in my case, it's also a question of going across two languages and two cultures. I have humor, but sometimes humor can sound disrespectful. So if I'm dealing with something which is pretty profound and respected in one culture, and I'm transposing that into another culture, I must make sure that the humor that I'm expressing in the language of my audience here must not make it look like that culture is in any way less.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So you need to give the equal importance. Yeah.
But you're feeling in one culture, but you're expressing something in another language of another culture.
Wow. So another language means, for example, if you speak in Hindi language, then you are speaking in English language. So that's sort of contrasting.
There could be a very Tamil or a Telugu way of, say, of a particular moment in the Ramayana. How am I expressing that with all its, sensuality, but it doesn't sound sentimental or stupid in English? So you have to give us, it's a kind of a holding a balance and knowing both, not just languages, it's cultural references. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that is to work from, like you're saying, it's the inner expressiveness. Then you have to work on, which then gets projected out.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. I think that is what, because if we look at the English poetry, we'll have to again see
Yeah, exactly.
how, yeah.
And what you're saying is, then the music adds a certain layer and that helps the dancer. And sometimes you don't have to have the mime when the music, you may be in mid-flight of a particular gesture, The music creates that.
Yeah.
With Kathak and Bharatanatyam, we can do those refrains, as indeed even with language. You can do a tihai.
Yeah.
Is building it, and you are doing that in 3 or 4 times, and it makes a statement about either the intensity or how it graduates. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And also, I think sometimes we also, the thing is that Indian dance, I went to see lots of Western contemporary dance productions at BD, British Dance Edition, and Leicester as well. So their way of communicating is mainly the body.
Exactly.
So the soul interpretation is not that much important,
Or
maybe
eyes, like you say.
Eyes and soul, because the lightings are important, and how the body, the way use their body and express through their whole body movement, and then of course the music is there, and sometimes the visual effects in the background. So that is mainly I could see, like unlike in Indian dance, even if you're telling a story just by sitting on a stool and you are expressing, just using your facial expressions and everything it tells. I went to see in Chennai by this very great dancer, I forgot her name, this who uses
Samson?
huh
Leela Samson?
Not Leela Sampson. Who is this in South India?
Yeah,
Leela Sampson.
was actually
Kalanidhi Narayan.
Okay, fine. Yes.
Yeah. A wonderful artist. I just saw her sitting and expressing that. It was in South Indian language, but you can follow her what she was trying to express.
Yes.
Very, very nice, very nice. So that really touched me, from at that time. I thought I would like to work more on Abhinaya side, But then it took me time so long to come to this stage now when you said that, okay, body doesn't work so well in technical aspect.
Yeah.
So now let us move into this.
No, exactly. And you're so right. We can just, this was one of the other things I was exploring in my AHRC postdoc, is that we can have different forms of storytelling, have the storytelling from different cultures. And sometimes you don't always have to be standing and using the body. It's just how the facial expressions are working. And that all has to come from deep within. And
Exactly. Yeah. But then, of course, it's very different. Here you go and see in a big theater stage, people are performing like, because then it's several dancers are performing. It's not only one dancer. Can you see 10, 12 dancers performing, and they have act together, and it's very, very theatrical.
Yeah. And the interaction is different, isn't it? Yes.
Very, very different.
But now I think what I feel is like, with technology, just as you and I are speaking, even though some of our processes, either with, if you're just framing expressions, these can be used through technology and be projected onto a very big screen for a very large audience. It could be done live.
Yeah. I think some people have done that. Yes. And I have done in my last a long time back in 2000 2002, 2003, I did something, the project called Images, and then all my previous work was projected.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then I danced with Irish dancer.
That's right.
Irish. Yeah, you remember? Great. So now moving into, I think that was really interesting, Vayu, to know. I think this, you said that about the way you, when as a storyteller, you use emotions through language. It can, people can touch by that language about that particular character or the theme of the story, you know. Yeah. So like in Indian dance, of course, ours is mainly mime and expressions through eyes and
yet the music is expressing the lyrics, you know.
Definitely, yes, yeah. And in your case also, there is a music as well.
Sometimes it's music. So it really depends, you know. Sometimes I work with music, sometimes I don't, and it's also good to keep that practice, because the power of the language has something that, although you're speaking it, it has to have a musical quality.
Yes.
So it really makes.
So one has to be good orator, yeah, isn't it?
And it's not like a speech, but it has to have the quality as if you're just sitting and telling somebody a story, but it must also have that sense of like it's a music, you know.
It's a music, and you are like, you become a dramatist.
Yes, that you have to have those qualities.
Yeah, wonderful. And then what is your approach to expressions? No, okay. In the UK, means I think before that you were where? You were in America? Where did you start your career as a storyteller?
Actually in England, yeah.
In England, okay.
Because I had done I had done one or two Hindi plays in India, where I came across the notion of the Sutradhar. And so obviously I wanted to study it more. But in India at that time, no university was really doing like a doctoral thing like that. And so when I came to England and I registered at the University of Leeds to do my doctorate, that time Peter Brook was doing his Mahabharata. So I was very interested in this idea of how the storyteller becomes a vehicle by which culture, philosophy, and this sense of emotions is conveyed, you know, even across cultures. Because, see, we have a culture where it's always there. And every festival you saw, your Ram Leela, you do your Krishna Jayanti.
Oh, you are used to, yeah, definitely.
But the real challenge is, how is it being communicated across cultures, you know? So for me, that was a tremendous sort of trigger and instigation. So that's what I started doing, a lot of work in Cartwright Hall. The Ramayana was there, the Mewar Ramayana was there. And then I was researching Peter Brook's work. And so my PhD was also looking at, obviously, forms, methods, but also looking at how it could be useful in education, you know, for children coming from different language backgrounds. Many of them don't take to writing immediately. And it's very important to develop the emotions as well. So I was working through both folk tales and epics, you know. So at primary, secondary, and then at sort of performance level, I was working through the sort of how are we nurturing English language to touch different cultures and points. So that's how I really started my storytelling career here from 1980.
Wow, 1980.
88. Yeah.
88, yeah.
So then through my university thing and then teaching at University of Kent as well. So I created a whole apprenticeship method, just like how you all train students. So it's very specific training processes, engaging with different forms of is that your phone?
My phone, sorry. Yes. Yeah. No, that's fine. We can talk.
So it was really to look at how we use space. How can you dramatize things? How do you then create ensemble work? And yet, how can you be also a solo storyteller?
Ah.
Then with that, how are you interacting with music? Is it just a background or is it integral to the story? And then I started, when Vayu Naidu company, storytelling company was sort of, the Arts Council said, look, what, you're doing something different and new. Why don't you look at this? And when I finally got the space for some funding, I was able to then work with contemporary and traditional dancers.
Ah, great. Great.
You can't be illustrating, you can't be explaining what yours in language, what is the story they are trying to tell. You know, that's the great space of negotiation. What is being done through dance, what you don't explain through words, or what you say through words, and how that takes another turn. You know, quite an interesting negotiation of art forms.
Yeah, but have you ever seen that you combine two? Means I'm looking at that as like a theater in the looking at from the theater point of view, while expressing anything, you can also use some spoken words.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that. We did that. One of our productions called South, it's partly available on YouTube. So a part of
It is on YouTube, yeah?
and it's you can put an expression, even it could be a phrase of a poem, it could be, you know, because I do write poetry, so it's a question of what phrase you put and how then the music also connects a kind of a ribbon of connection with the dancer who expresses it in their way. That's all, but it's never, you never have the same thing being expressed. It's going to take a different form.
Yeah. When you are using this spoken word or
Exactly.
Great. And what do you think about Peter Brook's Mahabharat? Because I watched that Peter Brook's Mahabharat and I especially enjoyed very much. You know, it was a long time back.
Yeah.
And my sons were very young and they really enjoyed, because in 3 hours you can see the whole Mahabharat.
Yes.
And
It was brilliant. I mean, that's what I was basing a part of my PhD on. It was great to interview the actors, the writer, and it was a wonderful way of communicating one of the world's greatest epics, you know, and not just holding it within one religion's fold. Because after all, religious doctrines are, you know, they are across cultures. You know, that they are the wealth of any heritage. And so more people should enjoy what that wealth is.
Definitely. And he brought actors from different cultures. Can you see, that was one interesting.
So their body forms, their movements, their ways of working, and to have the eye to see and bring it together, you know.
And he also brought that essence of Mahabharata. Can you see?
That was it. And he made that parallel between something in Shakespeare, you know, because there's this thing about constancy, because we all go through wars, we all go through different kinds of things, you know, grief and jealousy and love and this and that. But we're all looking for something which we can say is constant.
Yes, dharma.
So for Hindus, it may be dharma, but, you know, from a Shakespearean point of view, it's called the constant, you know. So it's
oh yes,
sharing that, and not to say it's the same thing. It's not to say it's the same thing, but where can we find a common ground? That's
yeah, that is a very good point about the common ground. Yes. So when we are expressing in the contemporary context, we'll have to say where is the common ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
we can't say that, oh, things are moving on in a way that it was never before. There is something common in our human experience. We're all aging. Some of us become grandparents, or Some of us feel for our children, or some of us, you know, even if we don't have children, we still feel an empathy. And so these things are common ground. Even
Yeah,
if we're moving with such high speed into a technological moment, you know.
but yeah,
Sorry.
definitely. No, definitely. You carry on.
No, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to say that whenever I now meet a lot of different people, and I feel that the cultures are different, but people's feelings are the same, you know.
Absolutely.
They express it in a different way, they think in a slightly different way, but those emotions, those feelings, we all share the same.
And it's always trying to bring that through, isn't it?
Yes. So sometimes we have, we said, oh, I don't like this kind of people, but when you start become friendly with them, you can understand their way of feeling, their way.
Exactly. And that's why and this is what's so wonderful about the arts, that we're constantly being exposed to opening windows and doors, about, okay, so that's different, so I have to go there to experience that. So even if I'm going to tell a story about somebody, not all the characters I tell about are people I like, but how am I going to discover somebody who is very different, or somebody I might even dislike, but they're very important to make a story turn. This is go and inhabit other lives. That's what storytelling is about. And by taking on that and telling the story, or whether it's a novelist or not, somebody else reading it, or somebody else listening, or somebody else watching the dance is able to see what life and people do and how they influence, or how do we know what's us or what's not us. It's about our own identity. It's about our own sense of ethics and values, and what is the direction we want to take. So there's a lot of stuff happening in what we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very deep as well. Very deep. And what was our third question? Is that your experience of working? Well, you did say as a storyteller and use of abhinaya in partnership with a dancer. Yeah, and how it has been explored together with a dancer. Yeah.
That I think I mentioned to you, because the whole point of, in a way, why I'd set up the company was to explore what is it that dance
can convey,
even if it says it's a storytelling art form. Yeah. So we did 2 or 3 productions. There was South, and that one was called South, and that was very much looking at Bharatanatyam, contemporary dance, sort of contemporary music, and storytelling. So that we really worked very hard in seeing how we don't make repetitions,
Okay.
and how you don't duplicate what's being said with the form. So that was a huge negotiation between art forms, negotiation and a dialogue. You want to create a dialogue, so and build, And I think actually music and storytelling possibly is a good marriage. If you have a dancer who is sensitive to language, and this is what Pina Bausch did, I think, you getting her dancers to actually speak so that we understand what hard work there is in terms of breath. So that was exciting, and we explored with that. So yes, you have to create a platform where one is not dominating the other, and that's when you make a new work.
And then it has to be gelled together to create the new experience, and of course artistically and aesthetically it has to be.
Absolutely, it has to make sense.
But don't you think, I think that is a very good partnership. If a storyteller is there, the dancer is expressing with mimings and facial expressions, and the music is also there, it becomes more alive.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
isn't it?
It does. I think all 3 combine to, and then if you have painting as a third medium.
As a visual.
That takes you in, even to another point of infinity.
Exactly. And sometimes what it can happen that people who are not familiar with dance but the storytelling, that the language can make it more clearer to them that the what dancer is trying to express.
That's also a possibility.
Yeah. So I think that is, I mean, of course you said that storyteller and music is a very good marriage, but I still feel that storyteller, dancer and the music.
Yeah, that works very well. And I've also done things with only storytelling and dance. But sometimes, especially with our Kathak, you've got the percussive element, which the dancer can work on as well. And that can be an interesting partnership as well. Or indeed with, as with Bharatanatyam, you have the feet, again, making the percussive elements.
Exactly, yeah. So you can express in so many different ways using the rhythmic aspect, the emotions, the hand gestures, the facial expressions, plus the language somebody who's telling as a storyteller.
With a certain nuance, like you say, to work across the audience and the performer.
Wonderful. Yes. Maybe I need to see your YouTube clips.
Yes.
You said something. How many clips are there on YouTube? Means once you said you work on sound. Huh?
5. One is called South. One production is called South.
How you SOUTH? South?
Yeah, South.
What is it? Something short form or just South?
No, it's South, because the idea of South is it's when you look at the way the sun falls on the South, it's about ripeness. It's about the ripeness of time. It's the ripeness in your. It's also about we never put our head in the South because it's considered that's where when somebody dies, arc of life, it's when you're when your life has come to its fullness. That's what.
Very much mature, the paripaka.
Yeah. Dakshin, what we say. So
Dakshin.
I was also looking at the political South. Yeah. It's so it's a combination of all those, and it takes why these cardinal directions are so important. So you keep your focus on always moving forward, and that's why you've got the north. But then what is there about the east? What's there about the west? And then when you come to the south, you reconcile all these differences.
Okay.
But so that's one of the YouTube clips. There's one called Bhakti and the Blues. There's another one called A Story in Search of an Audience, which is done more as a outdoor carnival story. Ensemble work.
Yeah. So South, the Bhakti and the Blues, and
A Story in Search of an Audience.
Wow. That's very, very nice title. Story in Search of an
Audience. Yes.
What does it mean? Means what you were trying to bring here?
It's trying to get people to look at life as it's lived and pay attention to it.
Okay. Story in a Search of an Audience.
Nilima, okay. I'm so sorry. It's now nearly 11 o'clock.
I know. We all have to move on. But it is so nice.
Lovely to see you again, I must say.
Yes. Me too, and lovely to talking to you as well. I think, yeah.
And I hope we can connect. Please, when you're coming to London, do get in touch now that we.
I will. I have got information from Seetal, so definitely.
Okay, and thank you, Seetal, so much for setting up.
No problem.
And thank you so much, Nilima, for.
Many thanks. Yes, many thanks for agreeing to have a conversation.
Great to have these conversations because we've been in the field all these years, and it's lovely to find that common ground that no matter what time has passed and what
I know
still are passionate about what we're doing. Yes.
Yeah.
So I really
Excellent.
wish you good luck with your new project.
Thank you, dear.
And after, when do you come back from the US?
I'm 31st of May.
Okay. Have a great time and let's connect. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Namaste.